1666, London. Dawn had not fully broken yet. The city was quiet, the streets silent, but within a few hours, that calm would be shattered by one of the most devastating urban fires in history, something no one could have imagined at the time. It all began in an ordinary bakery. A baker named Thomas Fariner went to sleep without fully extinguishing his oven. In those days, baking bread required an open flame, which was extremely dangerous. Sometime after 1 in the morning, sparks from the oven touched the dry wooden walls. At first, it was only a small flame, but London at that time was built almost entirely of wood, and for the fire, it was like a perfect feast. Within minutes, the fire climbed to the roof. The Fariner family barely managed to escape. They even saved themselves by climbing through a window into a neighbor's house. Tragically, one of the servants did not manage to get out in time and became the first victim of the fire. The wind was strong, very strong. The flames began jumping from street to street. London's streets were narrow, and the houses stood packed tightly together. It was as if the city itself was helping the fire spread. People woke in panic and started passing buckets of water. But this was no ordinary fire. It was already out of control. One of the biggest mistakes was the hesitation of the city's mayor. To stop the fire, some houses needed to be demolished to create fire breaks. This was the most effective method at the time. However, the mayor delayed giving permission, afraid of damaging people's property. That hesitation would cost London dearly. The fire grew more intense. The heat became so extreme that people could feel it on their faces from far away. Witnesses later wrote, "The fire looked like a red dragon rising into the sky." Some people tried to save their belongings, dragging furniture through the streets, even carrying away doors. Strangely, some rescued completely useless items instead of valuables. One man risked his life to save a wheel of cheese, later calling it the tastiest mistake of his life. The fire burned for 4 days. For 4 days, London was engulfed in flames. Even the famous St. Paul's Cathedral surrendered to the fire. People had believed its thick stone walls would protect it, but the wooden structures inside ignited, and the massive building eventually collapsed. For those who witnessed it, the sight was unforgettable and terrifying. Thousands of people fled toward the River Thames. They boarded boats and ships trying to escape the flames. Thick black smoke covered the sky. Even during the day, it felt like night. The citizens of London watched as their city turned to ashes before their eyes. At last, King Charles II intervened. He ordered soldiers to blow up buildings to create fire breaks and stop the flames. This time, the decisive action worked. The wind also began to calm. By the end of the 4th day, the fire was finally brought under control. The results were cataclysmic. More than 13,000 houses were destroyed. Tens of thousands of people were left homeless. Much of the city center lay in ruins. Surprisingly, official records listed very few deaths. Historians, however, question this figure and believe the true number of victims may have been much higher. Yet the disaster was not only destruction, it was also transformation. After the fire, London began to rebuild. Houses were no longer constructed from wood, but from brick and stone. Streets were widened, and new building regulations were introduced. In a sense, London was reborn from the ashes. Interestingly, people searched for someone to blame for a long time. Some believed the fire was an act of foreign sabotage. Innocent people were accused and punished. As has happened many times in history, fear led to false conclusions. Today, the Great Fire of London is remembered as one of the most significant urban disasters in history. But it is more than just a tragedy. It is a lesson. It demonstrated the importance of urban planning, safety, and decisive leadership. Had the mayor acted sooner, the damage might have been far less severe. Despite everything, London did not surrender. The city rebuilt itself and emerged stronger. Even in modern London, traces of the 1666 fire can still be felt. History is not shaped only by wars or kings. Sometimes it changes because of a single spark. A fire that began in a simple bakery altered the fate of an entire city. And perhaps that is why the Great Fire of London continues to fascinate historians and ordinary people alike to this day.